AEW Dynamite starts off with a Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews match. I did not watch this match at all because I was very confused on why this match was even happening. Now, the story that they was try to tell on commentary was that Buddy Matthews is mad at Will Ospreay for beating Brody King in the Continental Classic. I'm sorry. That story that they was trying to tell was stupid. That made no sense at all. You cannot be mad at someone for beating someone in a tournament. Like, he's supposed to do that. The only way that would have worked is if they had prior history and they was feuding before. Like, this would have made, like, to give a good example, like if Solo was in a tournament and let's say Tama Tonga lost to Cody Rhodes, that would make more sense because of Solo and Cody's history. These two don't have the history like that, so that story made no sense. Will Ospreay ends up winning, and then he ends up cutting a promo basically saying that him and Brody are great wrestlers and they could be single stars. Now, you can say that, well, this match happened to tease them breaking up and being single stars, which I'm fine with, I guess, but did you really need this match to really further that story? Also, I don't even think they're even going to be single stars. I just don't see it. Now, I think they would be great as single stars. I just don't see them breaking up. So, I just feel like this was just a waste of time. I just don't understand why we needed this match. Like, I just don't understand it. The match was probably great. I didn't pay attention to it because I just feel like it was stupid. Like, it was no reason for this to happen the match. I don't want to sound like a hater because I've been criticizing AEW like every week, but like, there's no reason for this match to happen. There's zero reason why this match should even be on this card, to be on this show, if I'm just being honest. It was no reason for this match to be on the show, to be honest. They end up shaking hands afterwards, and that's the end of this segment. After this, though, you get Private Party. They end up having like a celebration. It gets interrupted very quickly by the Hurt Syndicate. They pretending like, you know, they're friends, like they're vibing with them. And then they end up getting on the microphone, and Bobby Lashley ends up saying that they're coming after those tag titles. This transition to Bobby Lashley and Mark Briscoe, where Bobby Lashley ends up destroying Mark Briscoe. Then he attacks Mark Briscoe. The Hurt Syndicate attacked them after the match, which leads to Private Party coming out for the save. Okay, so it looks like Bobby Lashley never going after the tag titles, which I'm not going to say I like, but I don't dislike it either. I kind of feel like Bobby Lashley should be going more in the main event scene, but to be fair, the main event scene is a bit crowded, and we know the story they're trying to tell, so I understand it for now. I don't hate it. I'm not going to say I love it, but I also don't hate it either. So we'll see how that story plays out, but I think the story is very obvious what Bobby Lashley they have to win. There's no way Private Party is winning. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just not that interested is because the tag team division is just so weak and poorly booked. It's like, who really cares about the tag titles? Like, every title in AEW is basically booked poorly for just like, that's just crazy how every title is booked poorly. So it's like, god damn, it's like, it's hard to really care about any title that anybody has because every title is booked so poorly with, like, it's just ridiculous. But we'll see how that story plays out. After this, we end up getting the Casino Gauntlet match. This determine who will be the one to face Jon Moxley next week on Dynamite. I didn't watch this match mainly because, I already know where the story is going. We already know the bigger story is with Adam Copeland. So whoever faces him next week is going to lose. And then we already know the bigger story is eventually getting Darby Allin to defeat him. So there was really no reason to really watch this match either. Powerhouse Hobbs, of all people, ended up winning this match, which is very head-scratching, which proves my point even further to why no one should have watched this match at all. Look, this video is not going to be very positive at AEW. And I don't want it to be that way, but AEW they make it very hard for me to give props to them. Like, they make it very hard each week to make me not give criticism. Like, why? Like, look, I understand that they need filler feuds, which is cool, but really, Powerhouse Hobbs I can't even speak. Powerhouse Hobbs of all people, you couldn't give it to Adam Cole, maybe. You could even give it to Jay White or Hangman to make them lose. I don't care. But Powerhouse Hobbs, really? The guy who just lost to Konosuke Takeshita? Clean, by the way. He lost to him clean. So, I mean, I'm not understanding it. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. We already know Jon Moxley's winning next week. But we'll see how that plays out. But Jon Moxley's easily winning next week. After this, though, well, there were some cool spots in the match. There was a spot where Wheeler Yuta immediately entered the ring and got hit with a Blade Runner, which I thought was hilarious. And then Ricochet ended up having a new theme where he ended up playing Swerve's like intro, but then it ends up transitioning into Ricochet ends up saying that saying on his after it ends up playing, whose house, Swerve's house, end up transitioning to Ricochet saying that it's his house, and then he ends up having to laugh, which I actually thought was pretty cool. So I would say that was actually pretty cool. But other than that, this was a waste of time. After this, we get Jeff Jarrett. He was about to cut a promo. MJF ends up interrupting him. MJF ends up mentioning, his retirement tour, and he ends up mentioning him wanting to go after the title, and he ends up exposing Jeff Jarrett's contract being only 1 year, which I kind of feel like was obvious because there's no reason for Jeff Jarrett to end up cutting the promo last week if it was going to be a multi-year thing. That would just be stupid. It had to be a 1 year thing. So, but he ends up exposing the contract. It ends up basically wanting to help Jeff Jarrett, but he wants to be the first guy he faced after Jeff Jarrett wins to see if and then he ends up pulling out his hand to see if Jeff Jarrett will agree. Jeff Jarrett basically ends up saying no. I'm not going to mention what he said because he ends up rambling, talks about MJF's character, the stuff that we have heard a million times. He basically ends up rambling, ends up giving the long version of just saying no. So Jeff Jarrett ends up refusing. I don't know what the story they're telling here. Now, of course, I know the story they're telling is, can Jeff Jarrett win another world title, which I don't mind him telling. Well, actually, I do mind him telling because Jeff Jarrett should not be in the main event scene. I'm sorry, he just shouldn't. At this stage, he shouldn't. I just don't understand it. I don't even know who's clamoring for a Jeff Jarrett world title, but he is getting good reactions, so there's that. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Let's just hope that the end goal is not what I think they would do, because I would not put it past Tony Khan to actually put the title on Jeff Jarrett. I just wouldn't. Like, that is something Tony Khan would absolutely do. After this, we get Adam Copeland. He cuts a promo. He basically mentions the Death Riders, and he basically talks about the hardships he has went through in matches, constantly getting injured, fighting his way during a match to pick up victories. Then the Death Riders ends up coming out, and this played out exactly how you thought it would play out, or how you assume a Death Rider segment will play out. Basically, they end up brawling. Rated FTR ended up, the FTR ends up helping Adam Copeland. They come out brawl, but Death Riders get the upper hand. Then you end up getting, I forgot who ends up coming out. Oh, yeah. They end up getting the upper hand. They stood tall, but then Powerhouse Hobbs ends up coming out. And then that's it. So that's the tease, the next match for next week. Yeah. This is basically rinse, repeat. Now, rinse and repeating something isn't bad, not always. It's only good when the story has a good end goal, or when the story is already interesting and then you just rinse and repeat that. This story is not interesting and the end goal is not interesting. Well, Darby being the end goal could be interesting, but in terms of the Powerhouse Hobbs stuff, no. It's just like, why? Just why? I just don't get it. And then after this, we end up getting the triple threat match between Chris Statlander, Tony Storm, and Willow to determine who will be the first person in the Casino Gauntlet match for the women, the first ever. I didn't watch this match either. Look, a lot of you guys might be like, well, you didn't watch the matches. Look, I know the matches are going to be great. It's the story that I have an issue with. The wrestling, the in-ring wrestling is something I never complain about with wrestling. I don't complain about it with WWE or rarely with WWE or with AEW. I know the matches are most likely going to be great. That's what they do. It's the story that that should get you invested into the matches. I already knew how this was going to play out for the most part. Chris Statlander ends up winning, but we already know she's not winning the Casino Gauntlet. The winner is going to be the one who faces Mariah May at Grand Slam in Australia. It makes obvious sense that Toni Storm will win that match. It doesn't make sense for no one else to win that match. If anyone else wins that match, it's just stupid, if I'm being honest, because no one else needs to dethrone Mariah May. No one else has been booked to dethrone Mariah May. So yeah, I feel like it's very obvious that Toni Storm is going to be one to face Mariah May, whether she wins or lose that match, but I think it's very obvious. So yeah, we'll see how that match plays out next week. And then we get the main event with Kenny Omega. He ends up making his return. He ends up cutting a promo. He ends up talking about, his the thing that kept him away for a long time, mentioned him fighting back and him wanting to get back in the ring, etc. Then you end up getting Don Callis of all people, he comes out, Kenny Omega then chases him, then he gets attacked by Lance Archer and I forgot who else, Brian Cage, yeah. They attack him. Then Kyle Fletcher comes out and attacks him as well. Then you get Will Ospreay makes the save and then they have a stare down and that's it. What? Like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like, look, okay. I don't understand it. Look, if you're going to tell me that the whole reason they had this segment was for them to have this stare down, you could have had this stare down in another way. Like, you could have easily had this stare down in multiple ways. It wouldn't have been that hard to get this stare down. I swear it wouldn't. And why is Don Callis has anything to do with Ken? Well, I know they have history. Like, yeah, I understand it to a degree, but I just don't understand. So he's gonna what? He's gonna take down the Don Callis family for a bit to give them filler feuds. Like, come on. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I just don't like. I try not to be critical of AEW. I really don't want to be. I want the show to be good. The show was good at one point. I was excited to watch AEW Dynamite. You know what I'm saying? When they was doing the Swerve, Hangman stuff, even the MJF stuff, Adam Cole, like, they have done some great work. It was a time when I was excited for AEW, but now it's just like, I don't want to be critical. I don't, but they make it harder and harder every week. Like, it's like they just make it hard to enjoy this show. They really do, and I don't want to criticize the show as much as I do, but they make it harder and harder every week. But you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions. You guys let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm tripping, but you let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.